Alright, I never thought I'd be doing this, but here it is. These are the cringiest, or at least some of the cringiest, feminist TikToks out there that I'm gonna be reacting to. This is gonna be a suicide mission for me, folks, cause I don't think my brain will be able to handle the immense amounts of sheer IQ that I'm about to see. So to my loyal 5 or 6 viewers out there, I'm doing this for you. But yeah, let's get into it.
Here is part 2 of sexist things that we have normalized, but let's talk about it. Today is the double bind in the workplace, and when I tell you, you're gonna hear this and be like, yep. So in my own words, the double bind is basically a spectrum that women in the workplace fall somewhere on. On one side of the spectrum, it's someone who is soft-spoken, who keeps to herself, and on the other side of the double bind is a woman who is more loud, who is more assertive, and who is more passionate. What are the repercussions on sitting on each side of the double bind? Basically, no matter where you sit on the double bind, whether it's the middle or each side, you're going to face sexist repercussions. The sexist repercussion that someone who is more quiet will face is that they will be seen as incompetent. They will not be hired for a promotion, but they're someone that people like. Someone that's a more loud-spoken and passionate, they're a bitch and they're aggressive. And while they may get seen for promotions, they are not liked and they will face a really tarnished reputation because of that. And so a lot of women try to conform somewhere in the middle of the double bind so they won't face workplace repercussions. And the problem is that perfect place doesn't exist. It's quite literally a double bind.
Man, some people really have too much time on their hands. This girl literally just came up with this and felt the need to spread it like it's a scientific theory or something. And this is part 2. Man, she's probably making a whole series about this. When she said that no matter what side of this supposed "I totally didn't pull this out of my ass" spectrum that you're on, you're gonna face sexism, clearly the only workplace she's familiar with is a McDonald's. I can detect the smell of high school dropout from a mile away. I'll keep it simple, just be a normal fucking employee. Do your job well and just be a respectful and pleasant human being and you'll get all the promotions and respect you want. This isn't even just for women, it's for men as well. It really is not that complicated. I bet you could have gotten a promotion in the amount of time it must have taken you to think of this. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. Let's move on to the next one.
I remember one of the first lessons in street smarts I ever learned from my parents was not look both ways before crossing the street, but carry wasp spray instead of pepper spray because it shoots further, it's more effective, you risk blinding yourself less in an attack.
I mean, I'm sure the blue hair would be enough to make sure no one would mess with you, but go on.
I remember my mom telling me when I was little, never turn your back on a man that you don't know because you never know when he's going to grab you from behind.
This woman's mom is a psycho. She basically generalized men under the fact that any one of them will attack a woman, which is exactly what you need to be telling your daughter. I'm sure that will make her feel very safe.
I actually remember being taught by a teacher how to hold my keys for walking alone late at night.
And I didn't know that there's a specific way you should be holding your keys when you're walking alone at night. Like you drop your wallet or something and a guy tries to help you and you just stab him with your keys. Is that how it works? Or do you have to hold them in a way that they don't conveniently fall and you have to bend over for an absurdly long time just to pick them up?
I remember my dance teacher actually showing the girls in my studio self-defense moves in case if anything were to happen to us.
Your dance teacher teaching you self-defense? I mean, I guess that's good. Everyone should know how to defend themselves, boy or girl, kid or adult. Probably not by your dance teacher unless you're trying to moonwalk away from your attacker or some shit.
I remember being taught scream fire instead of rape if you're being attacked because people are more likely to help you.
Or maybe it's gonna make people run away instead of helping you, or make them more likely to throw water over you. I'm just gonna use the word grape to refer to what she's talking about. If you're getting graped, it's not like people are just standing by and watching it happen. People are going to step in or at least call the police. People really need to stop pretending like this happens out in public left and right and people just don't do anything. These graping incidents should never happen, but nowadays a guy just looking at a girl can be classified as grape, and there are so many false accusations that are put out there, so calling it a fire isn't really gonna help.
Were my brothers? Well, they were learning to look 2 ways before crossing the street.
Well, looking both ways before crossing the street is a very important thing to learn, so I don't really know why you're bringing that up. What, you want your brothers to learn to scream fire when they're getting assaulted too? Alright, I've spent too much time on this, let's move on.
Here is something that men do that is incredibly detrimental and sometimes fatal to a woman's physical and emotional health.
First of all, why the fuck do you have your arm raised like that? Are you pointing to something that's out of the shot, or are you doing it because you think it makes you look quirky or some shit? Sorry, my last 2 brain cells just evaporated, but please tell me, what is it that we do that's detrimental and almost fatal to a woman's physical and emotional health?
Okay, but women do that too. I never said they didn't, Grayson. I just said that men do this at a much higher rate. But I think because women sometimes also do it, this whole argument is just invalid. I don't think so. If you look at the statistics, you can see that 99% of men do this. Yeah, but there's like 1% of women that also do it, so you're just wrong. I'm not not saying those women are not wrong. I'm just saying that maybe we should just talk about this issue and maybe address that issue within the male community. Bitches be crazy. Bitches be crazy.
Okay, so you didn't even say what it was. I can't really think of something that 99% of us men do that is physically and emotionally damaging to a woman. Maybe because that isn't true. If there really was something that 99% of men really do that is damaging and fatal to women, then I'm sure it would be a much bigger issue. Okay, now you said that we should talk about the issue within the male community. You mean complain like you're doing? What do you expect us men to do? Talking about it is not going to solve anything, you've already proved that. What, you expect us to go out and hunt down the men who are doing this? You guys are the same people who say you're strong and independent and you don't need a man to protect you, so if you don't need us, then what do you expect us to do? Alright, this is getting annoying. How many more of these do we have left?
Really funny the way that we expect girls to just kind of like ignore catcalling, but the second she answers back, she's like being a bit too much. Like if a guy screams something at me, but then I scream something back, people are like, dude, you just need to let it go. You need to calm down. And that is just so funny to me. And by funny, I mean the next person who does that is gonna get stabbed.
I don't know what's more concerning, her threatening to stab someone with a psychopathic smile on her face, or the weird camera angles and zooms on her face. And as for catcalling, it's been a common feminist argument for years now, and I'm sorry to say, but that just isn't gonna go away. I don't know how you expect people to address this issue. It's not like they're gonna make laws that ban catcalling or anything. There really isn't anything that can be done to end catcalling altogether. There's always going to be assholes out there, that's just how society is now, and complaining about it is not going to change a single thing. That's all I really have to say about that, so let's move on to the next one.
Here's me explaining why the argument saying men invented everything is stupid and shouldn't be said on International Women's Day.
I mean, if there's an element of truth to that argument, then is it really entirely stupid? And also, what do you mean that it shouldn't be said on International Women's Day? Does it really affect you that much to where it's going to ruin the sacredness of your holiday?
Men invented that phone you're on, that house you're living in, the app you're using. Did you watch the video, or men invented everything? Okay. Why? What? Tell me why men have invented most things. Because women are stupid. Okay. Is it that, or is it the fact that we've been oppressed for centuries?
Give me a break. Are you strong and independent, or are you oppressed? Make up your mind.
Weren't allowed to go to college until the 60s, get an education? Well, that...
Actually, that claim is incorrect. A quick Google search will tell you that during the 1800s, at least 50 women's colleges were established. It was only the colonial schools like the Ivy Leagues, with acceptance rates higher than the average IQ of one of these TikTokers, that denied women. Not to mention, women in other countries have been able to go to college way before the US legalized it, but you'll never bring that up, will you?
Still severely underrepresented in STEM majors where all the inventions are from. We don't want to talk about that.
Actually, no, why don't we talk about that? The reason women are so underrepresented in the STEM fields, as you claim, is because they either choose not to go into those fields or they just aren't as qualified as the other male applicants. Studies actually show that women are preferred in STEM fields at a 2-to-1 ratio to men, so the excuse of oppression or sexism makes no sense.
You want to talk about the fact that the women who did invent things had their ideas stolen?
Give me one instance in which a woman invented something or had an idea for a new invention and had it stolen by a man. And even if you did, this shit unfortunately happens where people copy or piggyback off someone else's idea or invention, and it isn't being done exclusively to women, it happens to everyone. But you aren't giving any evidence to support any of your claims, you just expect people to believe you because you try to look smart.
Because those men, like other things on their body, have teeny tiny egos and had to make sure a woman wasn't smarter than them.
Oh, very funny. A woman on TikTok making fun of guys having small dicks. So creative and quirky, am I right? Now imagine if we reversed the roles and it was instead a man making fun of women in that kind of way. We all know what kind of Armageddon that would unleash. But nope, it's only funny when it's about the men. You can really see the double standard coming through. And no, I'm sorry to tell you, but men aren't afraid of women being smarter than them. You always hear women complaining that men are intimidated by smart women, and I'm here to ask you, what the fuck is there to be intimidated by? Us men, quite frankly, don't care if a woman's smarter than us. You can't be so narcissistic that you actually think the opposite sex is afraid of you because you can do math.
I am really nervous around men who only consume male-oriented content, and let me expand on that.
Okay, I don't know if any amount of explanation can justify why the fuck anyone would feel nervous around guys who consume quote-unquote male-oriented content, but go ahead.
There are certain guys in this world who only listen to male musical artists, only watch shows that are catered towards male audience, And they almost always have extremely hot takes when it comes to feminism or to anything concerning women's issues.
Maybe it's because that so-called male-oriented content is just good? And you can't even argue with me on this. The most popular music, TV shows, and movies were mostly created by men. And I'm sorry, but what do you mean by shows that are catered to men? I must be living under a rock. I don't know a single show or movie that is actually specifically catered to men, but I definitely know some that are catered to women. You got shit like The Vampire Diaries, The Titanic, and fucking Twilight, just to name a few. The whole romance genre is catered to women, so I don't know what you mean. I can say the same thing about women who spend all their time binging Friends and stupid rom-coms who don't understand men's issues. The underlying idea is that, again, we don't give a fuck. We listen to music and watch TV shows and movies for entertainment and to disconnect from the world, not to worry about social issues, which what you really mean is women's issues.
It is my personal theory that men who consume content created by women, they enjoy content that centers around women's stories. I think they have usually a lot better conversations about social issues, and it's because this world, and specifically America, the entertainment industry is really catered towards men in general.
Really? I'd argue that the entertainment industry is favored towards women nowadays, given that the whole woke feminist movement has taken over basically all of our entertainment.
So they don't really have to think that often, and so when they watch stuff that isn't for them, they have to ponder and shit.
Yeah, I'll sit back and ponder on how it's possible for someone like you to be so fucking stupid.
This is something that I've been thinking about for a while. So I'll go on dates with men and I'll tell them I don't actually like children. I'm not a big fan of them. I also don't want to go through birth. So if I am to have kids, I want to do it for a good reason. I would like to adopt. You go, that's not very womanly of you. I don't know. I'm not really attracted to that. But then if you push the stereotypes from their hegemonic masculinity, because they're pushing hegemonic femininity onto you. They're like, you have to be nurturing, empathetic, care a lot about your appearance. You have to love to cook and clean.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna demand men to be traditional and masculine, then they can at least demand you to be traditional as well. It makes sense. What she's really saying is that she doesn't want any of the responsibilities and just wants the man to do everything for her. Cut out the verbal diarrhea and just say that you're entitled and lazy. At least that'll save me a minute of my life.
But if you push that on them, if you're yeah, I don't know, I don't think it's very manly for me to have to work at all. You should pay for everything and protect us.
That's what men have been doing for literally centuries. They've been protecting and providing for women. It's only that now that women themselves are telling men that they are worthless and they don't need them. But at the same time, you want to be paid for and protected. Yup, I'm definitely picking up the independent woman vibes.
I'd actually prefer if you went off to war and died for your country, because that would really turn me on. It really doesn't turn me on when men are scared of war. Wake up, men. Wake up.
I don't think this woman understands what war is. Yes, she will literally prefer to stay at home and do nothing while men are literally out there on the battlefield losing friends, getting killed, or mortally wounded. You know, you can enlist too, right? Where was all this independent woman, I can do anything a man can do attitude? When the invasion of Ukraine started and all men were forced to stay behind and fight, y'all got real quiet at that time. What happened? You want to talk about representation in the workplace? You should sign up for the military where it's mostly men. No? You're not going to? Great, then shut the fuck up.
I think my favorite thing right now is watching men absolutely not be able to handle that bee society is matriarchal. I saw this video from a beekeeper where she was explaining that male bees' only purpose in bee society is to mate with the queen so that they can reproduce. They can't do anything else. So during the winter, the female bees don't have enough food and resources to support these freeloaders who can't do anything for themselves. And since they've already mated with the queen, they're just kind of thrown out into the cold to die.
No one gives a flying fuck about the social hierarchy of bees. That's just the way nature works. And honestly, is it even that bad? I mean, all the male bees get with the queen, so I'd say that's a win, personally.
And this is not the only comment like this, but it absolutely killed me. Couldn't you start a male bee sanctuary and save them? Provide them nectar and some remedial tasks till they get back on their feet. I don't know anything about this dude personally, but I just feel in general, men feel more empathy with male bees than human women. And don't even get me started on how pressed they are that there's no king bee.
And I guess Queen Bee over here is trying to insinuate a connection between men and male bees, saying that we care more about them than women? I can't believe how delusional this woman is. And no one's pressed about there not being a king bee. Not a single person cares. I'm pretty sure you care more than the actual fucking male bees.
I love seeing men discover inequality.
I love seeing feminists always discovering something new to complain about on TikTok. But all jokes aside, that's gonna do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this video. It's my first time doing something like this, and I'll definitely be doing more. So if you could leave a like, I would greatly appreciate it, and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you in the next one.